Good morning, folks. This is Deb, and I'm back. So I'm here to talk about putting all this debate stuff behind us, because that's exactly what we have to do. It was one night leading up to the election, one night. Okay. And I'm not going quietly on this topic, so you're going to have to endure me for a few more minutes here. So we have some people out there, including some people in the news media, asking for Joe Biden to step down for the ticket for patriotic reasons to serve his country. Well, folks, let me just tell you something. Joe Biden has been serving his country for almost 4 years now. And in my opinion, he has served the American people well. Now, I can't list all of his accomplishments here, but here's some of the things that I think have been the most important. The infrastructure bill, which he fought for tooth and nail. The infrastructure bill, that he passed, not the one that Donald Trump promised for 4 years, but did nothing about. Okay. He has done his best to protect women in this ugly post-Roe world. He's done his best to protect the LGBTQ community from being legislated out of existence in this ugly Trumpian world. He has stood on the picket line with workers. A man who was being questioned about whether he has the stamina to do his job. That was the first time an American president has ever stood on the picket line with workers. He averted a railroad strike. He disappointed some of the railroad workers at the time. But Joe Biden went out there and fought for several months and got them their sick time. And at the end of the day, they were eternally grateful to him. I have the video. And yet we're talking about removing him from the ticket while we keep this guy on. A man who has been convicted on 34 felony counts. A man who faces 54 more in a variety of places, like Georgia in a RICO case relative to the fake electors. Washington for an attempt to overturn the government to remain in power. That's called treason. Not very patriotic, is it? No. And then in Florida, where he stole government secrets, kept them in a bathroom at a resort for anyone to see at any time. And by the way, we didn't have to think that they snuck around there and looked at those documents, because he showed them to a whole host of people who shouldn't have ever seen them, including Kid Rock. He gets to stay on the ticket. An adjudicated rapist who then defamed his victim to the tune of $88.3 million. A man who has been found guilty of defrauding the entire state of New York to the tune of $454 million. And yet he gets to stay on the ticket, and we can remove Joe Biden for a poor debate performance. And I will grant you that. That is what I will grant you. It was not a good look for Joe Biden. But there were reasons behind that too. So let's talk about it. Days before this debate, Donald Trump sent one of his minions out to CNN, the very network that was hosting this debate, to cast the moderators in a bad light. Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. They portrayed them as leftists who weren't going to treat Donald Trump fairly. Well, they did more than treat him fairly. They allowed him to run wild, just like he runs wild at every one of his goddamn hate rallies all week long, every night, to his hapless minions who are incapable of independent thought. Contrary to popular opinion, debate moderators do more than read questions to people. I'm sorry, folks. That was the worst performance by any debate moderator that I have ever seen in my life. There was no performance. They were like mannequins. At one point, Donald Trump lied to Dana Bash's face. She smiled and said, "Thank you." I'm going to tell you, Donald Trump used the technique called the Gish Gallop. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, because perhaps Joe Biden's debate preparers should have known about this technique. I was encouraged to research it by a colleague. So we're going to talk to you about what the Gish Gallop is. I'm actually going to read to you a description so you understand it. During a Gish Gallop, in a short space of time, the galloper confronts an opponent with a rapid series of specious arguments, half-truths, misrepresentations, and outright lies that makes it impossible for the opponent to refute all of them within the format of a debate. Each point raised by the Gish Gallop takes considerably more time to refute or to fact check than the amount of time taken to state each one in the series. This technique is known online as Brandolini's Law and frequently is referred to as the bullshit asymmetry principle. There is a way around the Gish Gallop, by the way. But you would have to know what the Gish Gallop is, and you would have to be told the best way to handle it. And I do not believe that Joe Biden's debate preparers knew about this, because you know what? I was on debate clubs too, and I've actually been to debates. I have actually watched debates live, and I've been in a simulated debate. And I never saw this. But this is a reality, and it's been around since 1994. So no, I am not willing to take Joe Biden and throw him out to pasture based on one singular poor performance in the debate. Because the fact of the matter is, you know what? I'm going to forget this debate just as quickly as you've all forgotten the grab him by the pussy line, and you've forgotten the assault on Washington on January 6, 2021, which was all over everywhere because they filmed themselves doing it. I'm going to forget that as quickly as you have forgotten that Donald Trump is a convicted felon. And I'm going to forget it as quickly as you have forgotten that he is an adjudicated rapist. And I'm going to get on with this battle because that's what we have to do. I'm riding with Biden. I'm riding all the way to the end. The Democrats must win because regardless of this debate, the fact remains Donald Trump is the single biggest threat to America and American democracy in our history. He has been allowed to get this far, and he must now be stopped. I will talk to you all later.